This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football a la Turca for the week of September 8, 2021. This is also the deadline day in Turkey because we like to do like the British do and drive on the other side of the road. But this is in terms of the transfer market. We like to be a little bit different than the rest of the world, which has provided some of the clubs with some opportunities. Anyway, today is just a two-man panel. My good friend Jakub Marafolo joins me directly from the Netherlands, and of course, I am Kam Bayazit, your host, and my co-host Jakub, of course. Jakub, thank you for joining me. We're just the two of us today. I could sing a funny little song to go along with that, but it's warm here. I know it's warm there. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm boiling, man. I'm boiling. But it's good. It's good. I'm surviving. It could be way worse.
Yeah, for sure. You could be in the Amsterdam arena and watching Turkey getting battered by the Netherlands.
Yeah, fun fact, a lot of my family and close friends have gone to the game, and they all just suffered through it because you have to.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, also a Beşiktaş fan, Yusuf. Shout out to Yusuf. He went to the game as well. And I think before the match, he sent a message in our WhatsApp group, something like "about to get." I'm not gonna say the word, but and wow, 55 seconds in, and the Netherlands are already 1-0 up, and I just wonder, I just ask myself, these guys, like, they've had a terrible Euros, like the worst performance that you can imagine, and then they come off of that and really bad first few games here, dropping points at home to Montenegro in the dying seconds last week. Shout out to my man Altay Bayındır, by the way, who stuck up his four fingers, and the wall, man, it was all about the wall. And then you go into this match, right? And I would imagine if I was a footballer, I would think to myself, okay, fucking focus right now. They might be better than us, it doesn't matter, but we're going to put our heads in front of it. And we're just going to be really tough, like a $1 steak, and they're going to have the worst evening of their life. And what happens 55 seconds in they score?
Yeah, it was clear, especially after the Euros, that the Turkish national team just needs a new coach. I'm not a fan of Şenol Güneş, but I have defended him in the past because I still think he's an okay coach. But it's clear that whatever he's trying to do isn't just working. So, after the Euros, everybody thought that this was the time that a new coach might come in, but it didn't happen, and I think the team just never mentally covered,
Mm-hmm.
and you saw what happened. Everybody saw what happened, and It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and this brings me back a couple of years when he was coaching at Beşiktaş, and of course, the first 2 years were wonderful with back-to-back titles, really good run in the Europa League, and a good run in the Champions League, really. Just that last game against Dynamo Kiev was unfortunate, but I wouldn't even blame him. I don't blame him for that at all. That was a bit of an unfortunate event with the referee, and just not a good game on our part. But a good Champions League campaign with 4 draws and 1 win, and then that unfortunate loss to Kiev. But a very good Europa League run after that. Then the following season, fantastic run in the Champions League. But you could see the drop off from season to season, and there were for me at least, big frustrations when watching Channel that third season already, where I personally was always very frustrated. I think I was very vocal about it as well. I think even on I don't remember if we were doing Football Turk already at that point, but remember being very vocal about the fact that he doesn't rotate. He's always picking the same players. He's always he protects his boys, but then he is very quick to just completely annihilate people that he does not consider as quote unquote his boys. And that's a nasty little habit that he still has in the national team as well, I think. And I find it interesting that for as long as he's stuck with Ozan Tufan, the minute he transfers away from Fenerbahce, and it's weird because Şenol doesn't have anything with Fenerbahce, but like the minute he transfers away, like he's not. Did he even get called up? No, he's at Watford. Like
Yeah, he played. He played yesterday.
Oh, did he? I mean,
Yeah, he was. There was an issue with the regulations in England where the players aren't
Right.
able to go out to play their national games, but for some reason Çağlar played, and Ozan Kabak played, and Halil even played. But I remember there being an issue with Ozan Tufan's release, so to say, to join the national team. So I think that was an issue.
Well, is it mainly like out of Europe that it's the issue? Like South America? Like I remember hearing that.
It's like a COVID thing.
Yeah,
because, Because the Netherlands is a red country or something, and there's some issues with that and that was what happened with Ozan Tufan, and he did play like the last. I don't know, the game happened yesterday, and it kind of feels like a blur to me because I stopped caring after like the 25th minute or
like
something.
the 55th second.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was I turned away to look at my phone, and we conceded, and I was like, okay, it's going to be day like that.
Yeah.
But he did play yesterday.
Yeah, it's but with the national team, and I find it really mind-boggling because everyone's calling for Şenol's head right now, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah.
But you have to wonder what happened. What happened between the preparation to the Euros and not just like what happened between the European qualifiers, the first half of the World Cup qualifiers, and then that gap from that last game against Latvia where we already disappointed. I think that was the last game, and then the Euros. What happened there? Because in the Euro qualifiers, Turkey were really solid. Yeah. We can look back at it now and look at, for example, France, and we were in the same group with France, and I think we were maybe all a little bit misguided by the fact of how well we did against the French. And if we then look at the French right now, and also at the World Cup, like they are definitely suffering from post World Cup. I don't know how to put it, like delusions of grandeur, maybe. Like you've seen this before, especially with the French national team. After 2000. When they did the double, when they won the World Cup in 98 and then in 2000, you saw they had several years of where they were really complacent. And I kind of have that same sense with them now. And maybe that's kind of why we were all a little bit fooled by how good we were or weren't, you know what I mean? But still, like the drop-off is immense, and it's literally happened in the span of like 2 or 3 months. I mean... And everyone was in a good flow going into the Euros as well. We had Burak on fire. Yusuf had recovered well from his injury. Meri maybe not so much, but Çağlar had a fantastic season in the Premier League. Like Hakan, who I'm not a fan of, but he had a great season in Italy. He always has decent seasons at club level and then is absolute dog shit for the national team. But I really don't understand what happened, and we're all pointing at Şenol Güneş right now, and everyone's calling for Şenol Güneş's head, and I wholeheartedly agree, but I don't think a new coach is gonna fix this 1, 2, 3. Like, there's an issue larger than just Şenol Güneş. Like, there's an issue with mentality with the players. What do you think about that? Like, what is the cause for this, barring Şenol?
I mean, I really don't know. As you said, the team looked solid. It really feels like they just forgot how to play football overnight. Um, and I don't know. I really don't know. I still, Şenol Güneş is, at the end of the day, he's the national team coach, and he is the one that's responsible for winning games. He's the one that's responsible for losing games. So um, he is the guy that should be blamed when we lose. But as I said, I think that Fennel is still a good coach. He's doing horribly now, but recency bias is a thing, and everybody's writing him off like he's the worst coach to ever get the national team spot. But
Yeah, yeah.
he's a decent coach. It's just it just doesn't seem to work. I don't know if it's a personal issue with the players. I don't. One can argue that maybe COVID, the break did something. But if you look, as you said, if you look at the individual success that the players have had, Burak and Yusuf in the French league,
Mm-hmm.
and Çağlar did so good, and Hakan did so well. I don't know. I really, in Turkey, it's easy to blame failings at a club level and at the national team level to politics. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Fatih Terim, a couple of years back, when he was the national team coach, also complained about the politics in the national team job being too much,
Yeah, I
and
get that. No.
yeah, and one can argue that maybe someone somewhere just had enough of the guy, and it shows in his work, or it's pretty much grasping at straws at the moment. But you know it's just the difference between how good Turkey did and how bad they are doing currently is just night and day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, and
even
there's no reason, like, there's no tangible reason that we can point to for
yeah,
why that would be the
you,
case.
you if like a couple of starting players were injured for a long time, you could maybe say that maybe that's an issue, but the team is pretty much healthy.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue was that Miri wasn't able to play for the Euros, and then COVID happened, and then a year later he was okay. So it's unbelievable because, um, as you said, Burak is doing really good with Lille. I haven't seen Hakan play, but there is a reason
Mm-hmm.
why Inter got him,
We
and
had a good start with Inter as well.
yeah, and why Milan wanted to keep him. So he must be doing something well. Cengiz
Yeah,
has
it's
looked
beyond
like
me
he's
personally, but yeah, like I never understood Hakan. Like, I never have been a fan, but that has also some extra sportive reasons.
I mean,
Um,
it's I can be mad at the guy too, because he was going to sign at Trabzonspor
yeah,
like
yeah,
10
yeah,
years ago, and then he just fluked out, and then
yeah. But that's the main reason why I don't like him. Is it's not
yeah,
just that, but it's he's done it at every club, almost every club he's dicked around in a
yeah. Didn't he
very.
with Hamburg? He said that he was injured and got like
He ghosted them. He
yeah,
he,
he
he
ghosted them.
ghosted
He
them
got
before
like a
ghosting
sick
was a
slip or
thing.
something.
Yeah, no. He I think he either changed his phone number or something. He didn't show up to training and stuff like that until they gave him his transfer to Leverkusen. He basically, like, just completely ghosted them. Like, for me, that's something that deserves a year ban out of football or something.
I mean,
Like,
if we were going to judge every player by how decent people they are, I think
no, but he took it to the extreme, and he's done it multiple times.
yeah, okay.
There's a difference if you do that like once or something, and there's an argument to be made. But he's done it like 3 times already. And that's just like, okay, you must be an asshole. Yeah, I mean, just not a decent human being, like with just having no moral fiber. But that stands alone, of course, from him being a good footballer. But he's, that in combination with the fact that he's always disappointed for the national team just has me Like like I'll put it this way: if he comes to Besiktas, I will not be buying his top, even
I
if
mean,
he does really well.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. As I said, I do think that Chanel has to go, but he doesn't
Hmm.
show any sign of leaving.
No.
Which doesn't surprise me because he's getting paid way
Yeah.
too much,
Yeah.
and he's just waiting for that
They
severance pay.
they showed it
And
yesterday, right? Like he's earning 3.2 million euros, and Louis van Gaal is earning like 900K.
yeah, I
And
heard that he's earning about 1.2 million, and that's for Dutch standards. That's like,
okay,
okay,
that's
we're breaking the bank,
yeah,
That's for Dutch standards pretty high.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean,
have some dignity, man. Just stop on your own accord, and at least give the place to
but
someone
but
that
but
knows what to do.
who decided, like, even let's say they got Channel right after the double with Besiktas.
Yeah.
Like, even then, who would in their right mind give this guy 3.2 million euros? Like, is he Ancelotti? I mean, come on.
I mean, I think, yeah,
I wouldn't give Sergen that. I mean, I love
you
Sergen,
can't
but
compare both of them. You can't compare them.
no, but yeah.
Historically, he's just one of the top three trainers, in Turkey. So
Yeah, of course, I'm not
it's
disputing that,
Terim.
but why do you pay that? I wouldn't pay Terim 3.2 million either. Like those are absurd numbers for being a national team coach, which is arguably less work than being a club coach. I say
Yeah,
arguably because I know the general assumption is that it's a lot less work, but there's a lot of work involved, especially if you have a lot of players that play abroad, but you have assistants for that as well. Yeah. No, I mean, we can argue about whether the wage is justified or not, but yeah. And I'm sorry earlier I cut you off. You were talking about Cengiz as well, and he started really well with Marseille. So, like, at club level, a lot of the players are doing well. The thing with that I always had in the past, the frustration I had with previous national team coaches was very often the selection process, where I really thought that certain players were getting overlooked and other players were just getting called up based on the team they play for. I still think there's a little bit of that. Like, take Thailand Antalyalu for example. Like, I really don't think that's a player that would get called up if he didn't play for Galatasaray. Same thing with Alparslan Öztürk. Don't get me wrong, I like Alparslan. I think he's been doing really well in the league for many years, but he is not a national team level player. And I don't think Thailand is either. I mean, maybe I'm not. Maybe Thailand you can make a case for, but for Alparslan, I really don't think you can. Especially not. I mean, I know we had injuries and stuff, and that some people weren't able to come. But like, you look at what we have centrally. Like, why are you calling up Alparslan, and why is he even getting minutes? And Efecan 2 years ago, yeah, definitely. But is he like? Why is Efecan getting called up still at this point? At age 32, I think. Like, couldn't you just find some young 20-year-old German Turk or something, or give Kerem Aktürkoğlu some actual proper minutes? Like, why is Kerem not playing? Like, it's mind-boggling. Like, on one hand, you have like Thailand and Alparslan kind of being there probably because of the club they play for, but then a kid that's actually doing well at that same club barely getting a chance. I don't understand that.
yeah. I think the Turkish team at the moment is stacked in the midfield and the defense, but going forward, the team is just horribly handicapped. Striker-wise, we are still, trusting the corpse of Burak Yilmaz, who was just a black hole in attack.
Yeah.
And I like the guy.
Yeah, and even when Burak doesn't play, then he plays Enes.
Yeah,
which is like
we
Enes,
saw
really?
how Enes did.
Yeah.
I am biased because as a Trabzonlu, I want to see Halil do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the way Halil played, the way Kerem play in the league, they just deserve it.
Yeah, and Halil came in against who did we play?
Gibraltar.
Yeah, he came in against Gibraltar and he forced the goal.
Yeah.
And like if you're gonna insist on playing Kenan, why doesn't he ever try to play him as 9?
Yeah, I think maybe he wants to play more at the wing because he can use his speed a lot. But even then, he still doesn't use him a lot. I think that Kerem does also deserve a lot of minutes. You've seen it when.
Oh no, I was talking about Kenan Karaman.
Oh,
like,
Kenan.
Like he's constant. Like he insists on playing Kenan, and don't get me wrong. I'm really happy Besiktas signed him. I think he's a super useful player, but he's a very limited footballer.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for 2 or 3 years because he's been in the national team for that long. Like I don't get it. Like I get that you play him when you're playing against France and you want like a really hard-working attacking player.
Players to disturb.
I get it then, but like if you're like for example like he brings him in against Gibraltar, and he puts him on the left wing. Like he said himself. Like, my position is number 9, but I'll play wherever you want me to play. But then, like, put him on the 9. He's got the height. He's got the ability to hold up the ball. He does have those qualities. Like, if you don't have Burak, try him at least. But no, every time he has to go on the wing. Every single time. And I really think that if you're playing against weaker opposition, you don't want to put Kenan Karaman on the wing unless you have, like, some really good creative players around him where he can then play in like the Arkadiusz Laren role, you know what I mean? But like I don't get it. Like, yeah, I mean I understand Chanel's always liked that hardworking winger Olcay type of player, and Kenan is kind of that. But I don't know, when you don't have Burak available and you resort to putting Enes Unal up top, who for the national team just hasn't ever impressed, I think. Like, he's just there because of his status, I guess. Like, he has a little bit of status because he plays abroad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he, as you said, he does play abroad, and he had the potential. He was the next, after Batuan, I think he was the next big thing, so to say. So people still think that, maybe he can return to form, maybe he can, find that lightning in a bottle again. But I saw.
Has he ever found it though? Like except for Twente?
As long as I think he played like 25 games or 30 games for the national team, and he scored only once. I mean, with the dominance that Burak had, you can kind of explain that away. You can say that, okay, because Burak played that many games, he didn't get a lot of chance to play. But still, he is, I saw him play against Gibraltar after a long time. I don't really watch him on club level, so it was really surprising for me to see how he just, didn't do anything. And in comparison, when Halil and Kerem came on, you just saw an immediate spark, an immediate, that urge to do something, to play
hunger.
Some great football, that hunger.
And why does Enis Destan not get a chance, for example? Like, if you're gonna be calling up kids after, like, let's be honest, like, Halil played a few games for Galatasaray last season, and he instantly got called up to the national team. Like, Enis Destan's been playing pretty consistently in the second division in Turkey. He's a very young, talented striker. Maybe give him a chance. Scored again the other day against Scotland, I think, for the under-21s.
Yeah. I honestly think that's what you said a little bit back about how players are getting picked because of the club that they play in. I think that people might argue with me, but if Halil came to Trabzonspor, I think he wouldn't get the chances that he has as he did because he came to Galatasaray. We can argue about this all day, every day. No,
I agree with you.
Some even say that maybe there's a there's pressure from the TFF, pressure from the club presidents to maybe play more, or maybe play their players more. That's
Yeah, if
something
you
that
if
we
you
might
don't, you
never
you
be able
might
to
get
do.
sued like Transfermarkt.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, more on
But
that later.
we see it with what Şenol Güneş is doing at the moment. Every time he's announcing the national team, um, he picks Abdülkadir Ömür in the preliminary squad, and everybody's saying like, oh yeah, he's only picking Abdülkadir because he's from Trabzonspor. He doesn't put, he only picks him because of that. If he was going to do that, he would have picked Berat. That I don't think that that's an issue. Dorukhan came to Trabzonspor, he's dropped. Um, I think that um, Ali Akman. I think the young boys are really talented. I hope that they keep this
Hmm.
upward trajectory going. I'm so happy that that Ali Akman went away. I think that
Hmm.
Enis is supposedly going to Salzburg or something. That's pretty much what I heard. So I'm
That
I'm
would
happy that
be
he's leaving
amazing.
Turkey too. Um, I think the future generation looks promising, but I'm also a bit cautious because we saw players like Ahmet Kutucu who everybody talked about like the next best thing because he scored a couple of goals at
Yeah,
Schalke, and he's now at Heracles, I think, in the Netherlands.
yeah. But
So
it's like you shared that article the other day about Samet Yeşil, and I
yeah,
had completely forgotten about him. But he was I remember a few years ago, because when you posted it, it all came back, and it's like, wow, that's right. This kid was gonna be really huge, and then he just, I mean, I didn't even know about his two ruptured ACL injuries, and of course that's
yeah,
going to derail anyone. But yeah, there's been some of those unfortunate stops. But I do wonder, like, if clubs like Salzburg are looking at Enis Destan, right? And if you look at the fees that Galatasaray, for example, have spent this summer, and you look at their situation up top, why doesn't the Galatasaray go for someone like Enis? Like, no way that Salzburg are paying 7, 8, 9 million. This is just not how Altinoro does business. Like, Altinoro don't stand in the way of these young players. They sell them relatively cheap. Like, I think almost all of their big towns, like a Çağlar, like Berke Özer and stuff, they've all went for like 2.5 million. And I think Altinor are very willing to work with clubs as long as they think that club is right for their player. So why
I
does a Galatasaray not go for him, for example?
I think I talked with a friend of mine yesterday after the game about this. We were talking about how Burak is, it's time to leave, but there aren't that great of replacements at the moment, and we were talking about players like Enis, and he said to me, which I never really saw it that way. He said, I think because I said the same thing. I said, why doesn't a Trabzonspor, a Galatasaray, a Beşiktaş, a Fenerbahçe go for these players? Everybody knew about Ali Akman. Enis has been doing really well for a season plus now. Um, why aren't they going for him? And he said, um, it's easy. You can sell Enes to Galatasaray for, I'm just saying 5 million euros or 7 million euros,
Mm-hmm.
and then he stays in Turkey.
Yeah, true.
He stays in Turkey for like 10 years.
Yeah,
So you never earn anything else from that. So if they sell a player like Ali Akman or Enis Destan for like 3 million euros to Salzburg, they might earn a couple million less at the moment.
yeah,
But they just what do they do? They just put on a
the
sell-on clause
20%.
for
Yeah,
like 20%, and the moment that they start doing well in Europe, their value just skyrockets.
mm-hmm.
So that potential 7 million that you might have got from Galatasaray is nothing compared to the 4 plus 7 or 10, and you can also brag about, okay, this is our players and this is what they did in Europe.
Yeah,
Every time
but
Cengiz does something,
I
Altinor is the one that's that
I
puts
don't
their
think
hand up.
I don't think Altinodo is doing it purely financially at all. Because if you, I mean, I think their standard sell-on clauses are like 20-25%. So you're gonna have to those players, like let's say when Çağlar went to Frankfurt, was it Frankfurt?
Freiburg.
Freiburg. Like, how much did Freiburg sell him for? Like, they didn't sell him for 40 million. So 20% of, I don't know, 10 million or whatever. What did they get for him? Let's look it up quickly.
Altenorda sold Çağlar to Freiburg for 8 million.
Oh, really? I thought it was 2.5 for some reason.
That's what Transfermarkt is saying. And then Freiburg sold him to Leicester for 21 million.
Okay, so let's say they got 20% of that.
So it's like
that's
11
another
million in
4.
total.
That's another 4 million.
Yeah. So it's like 12 million.
But
12 million.
I think it's probably more. I wonder if it's more that the players themselves, like maybe they're just not dumb.
I also that's obviously also a thing. Why would you go to a top 4 team in Turkey when the chance that you might be replaced by an over the top has been
especially as a striker.
Yeah, your chances are really slim in the top teams because a new president might take over and the first thing he does is like sign a 37-year-old Wesley Sneijder or something, So
for the record, Wesley Sneijder was like 28, I think, or 27.
No, for some reason that's the first thing
that
came up to my mind.
DJ Drogba, but
let's say Drogba. Drogba was like 30, 34 or something.
34,
I think
like
he went to Galatasaray. But there aren't that many youngsters that did well at the top 4 teams. That went to the top 4 teams and did well. There are like maybe you can count them on 2 hands. That's how many they produced. So
I can't even think of from the top of my head. Can't really think of one. Like Kerem now is. I mean, one of the
outside the top 4. You had Sercan at Bursa when he was okay.
Yeah, but that was Bursa themselves, their own players. Like, I wouldn't even count that. That's the only way Bursa was gonna achieve success was with their own talents, and I think they kind of lost that afterwards. Like,
Trabzonspor has some couple of years. Fatih and Gökdeniz were the big ones. Tolga, if you count him as a decent player, was okay, but you have to really grasp at straws.
Yeah, but they got Selçuk at a young age and stuff like that. Like that. I think that also counts. Like if you buy a player at 20, 21, 22, 23, and you actually let them play, that's fine. Like Kerem Aktürkoğlu now, for example, like he's not from the Galatasaray youth or anything, but they're giving him opportunities now, and he's flourishing. Yeah, it's a big question mark, this Turkish national team. Before we stop talking about it, let's one more thing. Like, who on earth has to replace Şenol Güneş if he goes? Because I'm seeing a lot of Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray fans calling for Sergen Yalçın.
No, I don't think that's smart. I don't think that's smart for Sergen, and I don't think that's smart for the national team. I think their paths will cross in the future, but it's way too early. I also think that even if Sergen got the position, got it offered to him, he won't accept it.
I don't think so either. I think Sergen has a career plan, and I think if he wants to, I don't think he doesn't want the job, because I believe he said he does at some point. But I think he wants the time to be right for that. And Sergen, when he got offered the Beşiktaş job, that was in a very bad position. But I think he kind of felt a sort of an obligation at the time to do it. Maybe not an obligation, but like a roeping, like
calling.
A calling, exactly. Whereas I think with the national team right now, it's a massive shit show. I mean, it would be career suicide, I think, for him. But who takes over? If Şenol gets the sack, who should take over? Like, I can't really think of anyone. I also think that one of the issues that I've seen with the national team coach position is for years has been that they just want someone the way they pushed Lucescu to advocate reintroducing a foreign limit and the way they've been doing that with Channel as well. Like, I think one of the big reasons that Terim was ultimately sacked was because he didn't want to be their puppet. And if, like, Burak on the show often heckles Terim, and I'm maybe not the biggest fan of his coaching style, but I have a lot of respect for him in that regard, like, because they tried that with him too.
Yeah.
They tried to push that agenda of forcing a foreign limit, and Terim is one of the reasons that the foreign limit got lifted in the first place 5 years ago. Obviously, I think, Terim in 2016 had to go as well, and I don't think getting him back now is a solution. Like, I know some people would like that, but, like, there's a reason he was sacked 5 years ago, right? Like, just all the time going back to the same coaches. Like, at least you can say with Şenol Güneş, now versus 2002, like, he's made progression as a coach, maybe. Like, in 2002, he was still a relatively young coach. Hadn't really won anything yet. And now when he came back, he was, so to speak, a finished product, which is kind of what you want for a national team coach. You do want an experienced person who has had successes and stuff like that. So I definitely thought that at the time when he got appointed, it was the right choice. But just right now, something needs to be done, and I think the coach is the easiest solution. I don't think it'll be a magical band-aid that fixes everything, but then there isn't really a clear replacement. Like, the only one I can think of is Okan Buruk, and it's not like he's that experienced. He has one Champions League campaign under his belt. He has a title with Başakşehir, but apart from that, like, some work at some minor clubs, and that's pretty much it. Like, it almost has to be a foreigner, right?
Yeah, I think that the correct decision would be a foreigner, because at least then we will get past this. Oh, he's playing X because he's a fan of the Y team. It will still happen, but
remember when Gus Hiddink was the coach, and then it was just like, well, Oğuz Çetin is making the call-ups. The big problem is they can put anyone there, but they need to let that man do his job, and that's I think that's the single biggest issue. I can't really point to it with Şenol now. Şenol, yes, he is definitely being the spokesperson for what the TFF's agenda with the foreign limit and stuff like that. I think it's very funny, given the success, that the biggest success in Şenol Güneş's career outside the 2002 World Cup has been, his titles with Beşiktaş, and and
playing like nine
exactly
players.
Yeah, he got his success at Beşiktaş not because of good Turkish players. Like, okay, Oğuzhan was really good the first season and stuff like that, but like, and Cenk and Gökhan, and he had his Turkish players that did well for him, but for the large part it was Quaresma, it was Mario Gomez, it was Jose Sosa, it was Marcelo, Fabri, Adriano. Ryan Babel. it wasn't, I don't know, Tolga or whatever.
I think that I would love to pile on Şenol Güneş, by the way. I've said multiple times I'm not a fan of his, but I think that the moment you become the national team coach, you are essentially the mouthpiece for the federation. So if the federation says, okay, we're going to ban all foreign players, there's no way the Turkish coach would go against that, because they know that the paycheck is coming from their way. So I think that you could see that the moment Şenol has been let go or leaves himself, that he would turn back and go the same way and say, okay, foreign players bring a certain edge to the league, and they they should have done well. They should be brought on as long as they're the right players.
But you hire a coach because of who that coach is, right? Like, in essence, what you're saying is, then why even have a coach? Then just have Nihat Özdemir run the national team. Like, if
don't give them ideas.
I don't even, Nihat Özdemir in turn is just a puppet. We all know who wanted that foreign limit.
Yeah.
Because he's openly said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that the way Turkey has been, how not to get political, it's just unfortunate that the way Turkey has been run is just the reason for so many things happening, positive and a lot of negative things. So, it's unfortunate that football has gone from a thing for the people to be controlled by to be controlled by politicians and maybe screw it up for the next couple of years. But I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who should replace Channel. As I said, I think that my priority and expectation is that a foreign coach might do well. And you have Turkish coaches, but
Yeah, but who?
Okan is too young. Çağdaş Atan is now on a free. He's also way too young. Way too inexperienced. Let me say it that way. I could, I don't want Fatih Terim to go back because I do think that he needs a couple years away from football to maybe regain his. I don't know. I don't want to say tactical sense
he'll
because he's not
be
the most tactical
a couple
person.
years away from football, and he'll be in his into his 70s.
But you will be at least fresher.
Sure, maybe. I think it's. I don't. The thing is, like, you could say, okay, let's bring a coach that knows the country at least, like a foreigner, like a Christoph Daum type. But like Christoph Daum, maybe in 2010 that would have been a good choice. But in 2021, I don't think that's an option. Joachim Löw, maybe.
That was the one that I was going to say. He's going to be free after the next World Cup, I think. Or is he already?
I think he is, isn't he?
Yeah, we could bring him back. He was at Fener and Ankara Gücü, Ney, Kayseri, or something like that.
I don't know. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
He has ties to the country, and he has his own criticism. People think that Germany was good despite of him being the national team coach. But his trophy cabinet is just full. So
maybe we need someone like Arsène Wenger. I think I legit think that could be a good choice. Like, because just the way he operated at Arsenal, he's going to watch a lot of players, and I don't think Arsène Wenger would be someone that would bend to the will of politics, like, oh, you need to have that many Fenerbahce players and that many Beşiktaş players and that many Galatasaray players, and oh yeah, don't forget the token Trabzonspor player, I don't think someone, I would hope, but that someone like Arsène Wenger wouldn't bend to that. But then I had the same hope for Mircea Lucescu, and I was a little disappointed in that. I have to admit. Anyway, do you have anything else to add on the glorious national team of Turkey, or do we move on?
Hopeful for. No, I don't see any hope in the horizon. As long as as long as the coach is the same, I don't see any improvement.
Yeah. And Çağlar now suspended, and Ozan suspended.
Yeah, like 6 players are. The Ozan is suspended. Okay is suspended. I think. Çağlar is suspended.
Yeah.
When they went on the pitch, like seven of them were on the limit, so it was due to happen. Maybe it's a present in disguise. Maybe now that some other players get the chance, they are forced to play in a different way. I don't know. I like to think that I tend to look at the bright side, but there is no bright side at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, last day of the transfer window. Okan Koç, Ali Koç said it a few weeks ago that once the window in Europe closes, there's going to be some opportunities for in his case Fenerbahce. Although I don't think Fenerbahce did much post the transfer window shutting on the 31st. They got Diego Rossi on the 31st, I think. And then they got... Who else did they get?
They got that.
Right, Berisha. Didn't they get
Yeah,
Berisha
but
on the
they got
first?
Berisha, they got Max Meyer, but I think
Yeah.
that was before. And they got that. I think he's Mexican, that defender guy. No, he played at like the second division of the Portuguese league. They have been buying so many players, I just can't keep up.
Yeah, and
Miguel Crespo,
I didn't even notice that.
central midfielder.
So, and another midfield.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They have like 20 million midfielders, I swear. And then Galatasaray today must have landed by now, I believe. Gustavo Assunção, I think, from the Portuguese league.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I think I saw a picture of him at the airport or something like that. They were also going for Mendy. I don't know which Mendy. Nampali's Mendy's loan move from Leicester to Galatasaray has fallen through, with the midfielder unable to reach Istanbul before the end of the Turkish window tonight, which is like in 8 hours. So I don't know how that makes any sense.
So maybe
That's
tests and stuff, corona tests and whatnot. Yeah, and Trabzon have been super quiet. They got their homework done ages ago. Big props to them. Like, has Trabzon even transferred anyone in the last 10 days?
not that I know of. There were a couple players that they are thinking of getting, but when it comes to Trabzonspor, it's always alternatives to alternatives to alternatives. So
Yes.
it's kind of hard to differentiate between what is a true story and what is not a true story. The most recent player that joined the team was Siopis from Alanyaspor, who I think is going to be a really great player for the team. And they were thinking about a player from Lille, their left back. I'm forgetting his name every time. That they were thinking that they about getting him, but yesterday I read that he's not coming. Domagoj Bradaric. No, that can't be him. He's way too young and valuable. Yeah, that's the name that I heard.
Didn't Feyenoord get Lille's right back then or something?
Feyenoord?
Yeah, or Ajax maybe. No, I don't remember. Anyway, and then maybe the biggest surprise was Miralem Pjanic to Beşiktaş. Must have been on the 2nd of September, I think, right before the UEFA list got the last day, the limit for the UEFA list. Pretty big move. Think they all kind of came out of left field. Beşiktaş was trying to get Gedson Fernandes, but that just Benfica put them on their list and on their UEFA list, and they said they have been saying this the entire window. Basically, 15 million euros is what we want. If you want him, that's the price. So Beşiktaş ended up going for Pjanic instead at the last minute. But Galatasaray kept trying for Gedson, but I find it a little amateuristic from Galatasaray that they kept trying past the UEFA deadline list. They should have signed this guy now, Gustavo Assunção, before the UEFA list deadline. It does show a lack of ambition for the Europa League, I think. The fact that they left this to deadline day in Turkey. I understand wanting to keep going for Gedson, but Benfica has been really firm on it. They've placed him on their UEFA list now. I think it's pretty clear they were not gonna let him go on loan. So kind of a weird decision there on Galatasaray's part. But all in all, I've said this in the previous episode as well. I really like Galatasaray's transfer policy. Again, this is a 21-year-old midfielder. He's on a loan with option to buy. If he does well, that's a great get. They also got Marcao from the Portuguese league, from a mid-table team. He's done really well for them, except now recently some extra sportive stuff. But this could be another hole-in-one for them. A 21-year-old that they could potentially sell on for a lot of money. I gotta give credit to Burak Elmas, the new Galatasaray club president. The transfers they've been doing, all young players with potential, and obviously you have to wait and see how they do, but can't fault someone for this type of a transfer policy. How do you like those moves that Galatasaray have been making, and what do you expect from them going forward?
I mean, I was surprised. I was surprised because, as you said, they have been going for a lot of young players, and it doesn't really match into, um, Terim as a head coach and playing young players. It's not really a thing um, that happens a lot with him. So they
He
are
did it in
taking.
the 90s, right? Like Hakan, Bülent, Okan.
I mean, if you have to go like 25 years back, that there's a problem. But as you said, I think they are really great transfers. They did spend like 25 million or something on all the players.
Yeah.
But I'm always for it when you play when you get young players. I would rather have you have a team spend money on a young player and develop and um, make money of a potential next transfer
Yeah.
than having old geezers in the team. So I'm surprised, as I said, but I think they are really great moves. I did wonder though, because they spent like 20 million, like 25 million, but
Yeah.
they didn't sell anyone. Everybody that left either left on a transfer free or on a loan move.
Yeah.
The biggest one being Falcao, and they are finally
Rid of his wages.
they're finally rid of him. Emre Akbaba going back to Alanyaspor is also a thing. He was linked to Trabzonspor a couple of times, but they didn't sell anyone. It's really surprising.
Did you see the Rizespor thing where
Yeah, with Olcan.
where they where they basically exposed Galatasaray for for fudging the books. They I don't know how they did it, but like because they had a settlement with Rize now,
Yeah.
and Galatasaray tried to make it look on paper like they made money.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was pretty funny that Rize made it official and stuff. And also, I love the silence from the TFF, like just a complete and utter, just absolutely ignoring it, like just not even acknowledging it.
I mean, from what I heard that Galatasaray didn't even pay Rizespor. What happened was that the TFF took the earnings that they got from qualifying for the Europa League, and they just kind of took that money and just gave it to Rizespor because to close the settlement, so to say. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I've been hearing on the internet, that Galatasaray didn't even want to pay it, or didn't think that they had to pay it, and TFF pretty much just took their money and gave it to Rizespor. Could be wrong, could be true. I really don't know, but in Turkey, it sounds like something that could happen.
I mean, it sounds unreal. It sounds unbelievable to me that the TFF would actually do the right thing. It sounds very out of character. Yeah, but I think a good window for them. What do you think of Fenerbahce? They added some quality. That Diego Rossi guy from the MLS from LAFC is supposed to be pretty good. Also a young player, valued pretty highly. And then Berisha,
like 18 million or something.
yeah, but transfer market, like
Yeah.
they're those inflated prices. They're not realistic. I mean, I find it funny that Fenerbahce are complaining about that, and then they sign Berisha and that Diego Rossi guy who have very high values on transfer market, and supposedly they signed them on a budget. Yeah, Berisha is a very curious one for me in particular because PSV were very keen on getting him, and they couldn't because he costed 12 million. Like, how did Fener even pull that off? And the donkey chimes in as well.
So as for Berisha, I don't know. But there has been an issue with him. The transfer mark saga has started a little bit with him. The reports are that they paid 5 million for him, which if they did, they should have made a cup announcement, which they didn't. So it's been a big issue. I don't know. Was he like on an ending contract or something that Fenerbahce got him?
I don't think so. I don't understand. I wouldn't even like 5 million. Like PSV didn't sign him because Salzburg were insisting on 12 million. So
Yeah, and he did play a lot last year.
if they got him for
42 games and scored 22.
So if they got him for 5 million, that's okay.
I mean,
Good business.
It's probably a backloaded contract where every so many games he just gets.
Maybe.
Probably the easiest way to also avoid the financial fair play things.
Yeah, Alikor did mention that next year their financial fair play settlement will be over. So I think that might be the thing where they just sign him for X amount now, and then, the coming years maybe there will be certain clauses triggered or something. We'll see. But good signing though, and so is I think Rossi. Young players as well. Really surprised by both Fenerbahce and Galatasaray in a positive way. And I said this last time too, but just I really like their transfers. Finally, some thought being put into the transfer policy, and that doesn't always work out. Because I was very happy with Beşiktaş's transfers 2 years ago when they went for guys like Pedro Rebosho and stuff like that, and it didn't pan out well. So, but these are especially for Fenerbahce, I think these guys are a little bit higher profile, Berisha in particular. I think Diego Rossi could be a very interesting signing as well. Very curious. It tickled me a little bit that with Beşiktaş you have Sousa getting Alex Teixeira, and then you have what was it Nkudu getting Batshuayi, and this running gag of player agents, and then for Fenerbahce it's Muslera getting Diego Rossi. If I was a Galatasaray fan, that would slightly annoy me, I think, especially if he pans out well. But yeah, good moves by them, and they did get Rossi before the deadline. I think they got Berisha before the deadline as well, so at least Fener stacking their team up. Last time we recorded, we didn't have the Champions League draws yet, did we? And the Europa League draws.
No, I don't think we did. No.
Well, okay. Well, one last thing then. Let's talk about that. Beşiktaş grouped with Ajax and with Borussia Dortmund, and then with the Portuguese champion Sporting. Probably the draw that you would if you are looking at the draw beforehand and you're looking at pot 1. I think Sporting are probably one of the teams that you'd want to get. With all due respect for Sporting, I'm not saying Beşiktaş are gonna have an easy time against them at all. Could easily be 2 losses. But, if you look at the possibilities, I think Lille and Sporting were probably 2 of the better options from pot 1. And then from pot 2, Borussia Dortmund. You were very excited about the possibility of Messi finally coming to Turkey, or Ronaldo maybe. But
no, not per se Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I'm actually really frightened and excited about Erling Haaland. I seriously think if that guy doesn't suffer any severe injuries, with the Messi and the Ronaldo era kind of coming to an end slowly but surely, there's been some talk of we will never see this again. But I think if you look at the numbers that kid is putting out, man, at Erling Haaland, I think he's already really close to being the best footballer in the world right now. He's obviously not yet there, but I think he's in the top 5. I don't know. You could disagree with me. That's fine, but he's so